Excellent connection. Analytics are looking good. It looks like, all right, the slight delay in that there. Perfect. All right. Everything is looking good. Checking through my chat over here, making sure everything is all set up. We're going to start. I'm going to start it off with a quick systems check. So if you're over there in the chat and you just want to confirm that you can hear me, go ahead and fire in a comment over there. And then we're going to start up with a little background video to give us some background information on. All right. It looks like we're looking good over here. We'll start it off with a little background information, a little informational video released by NASA. Then we'll jump into the actual live stream. Launch is still scheduled for 12:06. We'll go live on the live stream, the NASA's live stream, and then we'll walk through it. I'll give you a couple of details about the background of the actual launch itself. And then if you want to fire some questions, comments in the chat box over there. We are running this off the school Wi-Fi, so there might be some issues as we go, but we're going to play around with it and make the best of it because that's where we are right now. So let's go ahead and open this up. We're going to watch the background video. What is up, Mr. Kenny? Let's make sure the audio is working for this. Should be running system audio. Desktop audio is right there. Let's turn this up. All right, so here's just a quick background video.
Europa is widely considered the most likely place in our solar system beyond Earth to have life right now.
It's a moon, an icy world orbiting Jupiter.
Beneath its icy surface, a global ocean of water. Everywhere on Earth that there's water, there's life. So we want to understand, could Europa be a place where life might exist today?
3, 2, 1, lift off.
Europa Clipper is the first mission dedicated to exploring Europa.
This is the largest interplanetary spacecraft NASA has ever built and launched.
We have the right team, the right technologies to leverage to go to Europa now and unlock those mysteries that are just waiting for us.
The pictures we're going to get from Europa Clipper are going to blow our minds.
How could you not be excited about something as monumental as this?
You're looking live at NASA's Kennedy Space Center's Launch Pad 39A.
All right, let's dive into this bad boy. I'm going to put us live on the
And
YouTube
there goes
stream
stage 2 LOX load. So the final tank
We
that
are
needed
at
to be
T-minus
filled has
18
begun
minutes.
as we continue to make great progress tanking this vehicle. We'll send it back to Megan and Jenny.
Make sure we can see everything.
Great to hear that tanking's going well. All right, NASA's ambitious journey to Europa has inspired U.S. Poet Laureate Ada Limon to write In Praise of Mystery, a poem for Europa. It is such a powerful piece. Please check it out.
In Praise of Mystery, a poem for Europa.
This is the live stream right here. You can see we got 17 minutes to
Arching
launch.
under the night.
So I'm just going to mute her for a second. We're going to run through just a little bit of the background of the launch itself, what the mission is all about. And I am joined here by a special guest. So just a quick rotate here. Miss Carias, 6th grade elementary school science teacher, is joining us as our astro expert. So if there's any questions that either NASA or myself can't handle, we can always go to the deep experts over there. But let's dive into just a couple of things about this mission. So the first thing I want to talk about is the moon of Europa. So Europa is one of the moons of Jupiter, and the reason that our Europa Clipper mission is going there, and the reason we're so excited about it going there, Peter's joining us as well. He's chewing on his bandana right now. One of the reasons we're interested in going there is because it is believed, this is not, it is believed that Europa is an ocean world, that there is an ocean beneath the icy exterior of the moon. And it is quite possible that because there is water on this moon, as is seen all over the world, all over our world, wherever there is water, there is life. So there is the potential for life there. The Europa mission will be going there. It'll be collecting samples. It'll be doing radar scans of the surface of Europa. It'll be attempting to capture some of these gaseous plumes you can see over here, this water plumage that shoots out into the Europa atmosphere. And if it can collect those, it can look for the signs of life, including water, energy, and the chemicals that make up basic life forms as we know it. So today we're just going to be looking at the launch. This mission itself, as seen here, nope, that's the orbit. There we go. So the launch is today. This is the previous launch, which was slated for October 10th, but we're a little bit behind on that due to Hurricane Milton. So it will launch. This mission will take 2 years to orbit the sun and come back to Earth. So you can see it's slated for an Earth gravity assist on December 2nd. That'll be a few days later, I'm sure, but of the year 2026. So it's going to take 2 years for it to orbit the sun, come back around, and then use an Earth gravity assist, which basically boosts its speed. It'll boost it out into the deeper solar system, where it will then grab a Mars gravity assist in 2020. Oh, excuse me. It'll do the Mars gravity assist first, coming back around the sun to get an Earth gravity assist, which will then boost it out to the Jupiter orbit insertion in the year 2030. So this is a 5.5-year mission that we're talking about. The reason it is a 5.5-year mission is because getting requests here on the texts. We got to send them in through the thread. The reason it's a 5.5-year mission is the Europa Clipper is on board of a Falcon X, or excuse me, a SpaceX Falcon Heavy launch system. Instead of using the Space Launch System owned and designed by NASA, they went with SpaceX, which is significantly cheaper at this point, but it also takes us a little bit longer to get there. So this is the overall mission, eventually reaching Jupiter's orbit insertion in the year 2030. Today, what we're going to see, though, is the actual ascent. So we have liftoff from the base in Cape Canaveral. Max Q is when it reaches its maximum, the maximum shakeage, the maximum turbulence. So that's, you'll definitely hear them mention Max Q after it takes off, and that's really the point where it has gotten through the thickest part of the atmosphere, and we can start breathing easier. Then booster separation, so you'll see the boosters on the outside will drop off and return to Earth. And then at that point, we'll probably lose visual, and they'll probably move on to a simulation that will show us the first stage separation, which happens significantly above our atmosphere. Second stage, engine start, and you can see how long these things take. So we have up until the fairing jettison is T+4, T+7, and then we jump onto the first burn, which is 47 minutes later. So we'll cut the live stream probably after the first parking orbit insertion or after the fairing jettison, right around this area here, because at that point we're just going to be watching the models, and there's not a whole lot else to talk about. Again, this is a 5-year mission, so we're not going to be able to live stream the entire thing. I would need to use the bathroom a couple of times in there. So let's jump back into NASA's live stream here. You like that one? We're going to jump back into the live stream here, and it looks like we are T-minus 12 minutes until launch. All systems look good. And looking on here, you can see some of the steam coming off the side of the spacecraft here. This is going to be some of the fuel. The fuel for the rocket is loaded on at well below negative hundreds of degrees temperatures. So as it leaks off the spacecraft, it actually boils. Getting a little interference there. I'm hoping this gets cleaned up and isn't on my end. There we go, directly to the live stream, which looks better. Yeah, it looks pretty good here. Yeah, see, we're still getting some of that interference there. I'm hoping that clears up and isn't on my end, but I can close some stuff down and see if we can prioritize this. But we can see it there. You can see the two booster rockets on the end. Those are the ones that'll drop off. And then the actual payload itself is the only part of this that'll actually reach orbit is up here, that very top part. And the Europa Clipper satellite is actually inside that. So since we have 11 minutes left, let's jump back and take a look. This is the surface of Europa. So you can see all these lines across it are the icy formations on top that are believed to separate and squeeze and crack open, which is why we believe this, the surface of this, and specifically the water underneath it, has been highly active over the past 4 billion years, which is how long it took us to develop life here on Earth and possibly develop life deep within. Oh no. Did I never put my mic back on? No, it's on. Why can't you guys hear me? Fire me out a comment on the chat if you can hear my voice. I don't think my audio is coming through, which is unfortunate. Let's see. All right, never mind. Sounds like it looks like everybody can hear me. All right, that sounds like it's on your end then. Sorry about that. I thought we were having an issue there. All right. We have a class in Chatham, New Jersey who just jumped in and is watching us, and they were mentioning they were having some issues hearing us on the audio. So let's jump back in. We have some special requests for our other guest. So let's bring in our second guest. Come here, bud. Come here. Come here. This is our astrobiologist. He's actually a specialist on the moons of Europa and specifically life on other moons. So let's bring him in real quick. He's got a couple of things that he'd like to say. Come here. Here he is. All right. So here is our special astrobiologist who would like to talk to us a little bit about the moons of Europa. So, what did you have to say? Were you telling us the reason that there's energy on Europa was the gravitational squeezing effect? Yes. Perfect. All right. Now, raise your hand if you think we might find life on Europa. Yep. All right. So he is in agreement that we might find life on Europa. All right. Now, that's enough of our astrobiologist.
Do some research.
Good boy, Peter. All right. Um, there's Peter for you. I saw him, everyone making some requests there. It's Peter, our astrobiologist. Let's hop back into our live stream though and keep an eye on this. We are T minus 8 minutes out, and I wanted to take a look at the Europa Clipper itself, and I don't think I have my photograph up for that. So let's see if we can find it right quick in here. Let's see if we can find the detailed. I had a detailed picture of it earlier, but it looks like I closed it down because I fail epically, but that's okay. We'll open this one and use this one. All right, so this is a picture of the actual Europa Clipper itself. It is a large satellite. You can see with its solar panels on here. At Jupiter, the sun is significantly less powerful. So these solar panels are absolutely enormous. The satellite itself stretches larger than a basketball court. So you can see these solar panels are going to be collecting all the energy they can in order to power this system. Then it has its large dish here, which will be sending all the information back to Earth as it swoops through Europa's atmosphere to try and collect as much information as possible. These little gizmos sticking off the edges of the satellite here are radars, and those radars are actually going to be used to try and penetrate that ice and try and look deep down and see if there is in fact water underneath it and what that water is composed of, what kind of chemicals and things are inside there. And then there's a whole suite of instruments on the front of the Clipper mission right here that'll actually be flying through those plumes that we talked about earlier and trying to collect as much data as possible. We'll also be getting some incredible images. The closest images we've ever had to Europa, I believe, was the Galileo mission, which was years and years and years ago using way outdated technology. And now we have extreme advances in our camera technology and our ability to get high definition imagery. So let's jump over to the live stream. I'm actually going to turn on our NASA experts here. They're getting a lot of feedback. It looks like it's on NASA's end. I want to follow their live stream, so I'm not going to come out of this one. So we're just going to follow it, but we'll go ahead and listen in on what they have to say.
Go completely filled. Now we await for all 3 of the LOX tanks inside the first stage booster to get to their full point. You can tell they're most of the way there. As you look on your screen there, you see the cold, the icy cold rocket condensing that Florida air.
Yeah, the team's continuing to load second stage also with LOX, and we're getting very close. We can see on the telemetry here that the LOX load of the 3 boosters is getting near completion.
As they talk about LOX, that's our liquid oxygen. So these tanks actually use liquid oxygen, which is being pumped in. You might see the facility that actually pumps the liquid oxygen in order for in order for oxygen, which you and I breathe naturally as a gas, in order for it to become a liquid, it has to be extremely cold. So you can see how cold this all is and the evaporation happening. This is in Cape Canaveral in Florida. Very standard to see this coming off. You can actually see a release valve right here, which is clearly releasing some of that pressure. But you can actually see the tanks icing over this right tank right here, showing a lot of ice. And as we get some of those up close images, when this rocket goes to launch, you will see some of that ice shattering off and falling down below. And hopefully they have some really good cameras up inside the rocket boosters themselves and on the tower here, and we'll be able to see all that in action. I want to cut to some, I'm hoping they cut to some wider views. This launch pad, I believe this is launch pad 39, and 39 is an elevated launch pad. You can see the concrete construction down at the bottom there. I'm pointing with my pinky as if they can see my pinky. Thank you, Ms. Grimes. But you can see the launch pad down there, the concrete launch pad, and to the right there, and I can't move my mouse because the little scrubber pops up, but to the right, it looks like there's an entry door. That opening actually allows the exhaust from the rocket to blast out and away from the rocket so it doesn't cause damage to the rocket. So the rocket, you'll see the exhaust blast out of that when they go to take off. Let's see what they're talking about now. We're 3 minutes away.
Regarding the second stage.
Live, and we'll listen into
NY LOX load is complete.
As we just got completion of LOX load for the Y booster. We're looking for now the center core.
So if you look off to the right side there, you can see
and the plus Y.
That circular ball kind of white-looking thing to the right side of the rocket. That is most likely where the liquid
NLM, it's
oxygen
the LDN.net with a final status check.
The water tower to the left is going to dump thousands of gallons of water onto the launch pad.
This is NLM on countdown 1.
Igniting.
NASA spacecraft and the NASA team is go for launch pending resolution of the anomaly.
Crack and rip apart, and
copy, go pending brief of
the launch pads actually cracked, ripped apart,
issue being discussed on the anomaly net. Affirmative.
Hit the rocket itself.
Okay, Tim, so they've mentioned that they're working an anomaly. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so as we mentioned, they're monitoring some temperatures on the second stage, and things are the teams continue to look at that as they continue filling second stage with liquid oxygen. They're continuing to look at that and monitor that as far as they can into the count. So things are continuing to progress forward with LOX load. Center core is just finished up, so all 3 boosters are filled with LOX and RP1. The second stage has RP1 on, and we're getting near completion of stage 2 LOX load as the team continues to look at that temperature in the second stage. But we did hear NASA launch manager Tim Dunn tell Charlie Myers, SpaceX launch director, that they are go for launch. Pending the resolution of this temperature issue. So the team has continued to work that, and the team will continue to progress forward in their procedure.
And so these discussions are happening very quickly as we are counting down now inside the final 2 minutes until liftoff.
Absolutely, and we just heard that Stage 2 LOX load was complete, and the team is working that. And as you said, this is what they do in the last few moments before launch. They're working their procedures, following their processes, and having these discussions. But we are still progressing forward towards a T0 of 12:06. And things are progressing forward for the launch this morning, or this afternoon.
I just copied my words.
We are now 90 seconds until liftoff.
He said we're progressing as normal. All right, so
weather is 95% go.
Things we're going to watch for is that those exhaust
These boosters on the outside, they have flown before
the
Psyche mission a little more than a year ago. They are back on the pad along with a brand new center core booster
away from it now, but on the tower,
and a spacecraft bound for the Jupiter moon Europa.
In case there is any lightning.
Yeah, Daryl, I can confirm, listening to the teams, that everybody is go for launch. They have resolved the temperature issue they were looking at on second stage. Everybody's given the go for that, and Falcon is in startup, so the flight computer has taken over, and we're getting ready for the final
launch director is go for launch.
And there we hear Charlie Meyer say that SpaceX is ready for launch, and Europa Clipper getting ready to lift off.
And there's a great update as now it vents out the LOX inside the line of the transporter erector. We are inside of 30 seconds.
30 seconds and counting.
All right, we are at 30 seconds here. All right, so I dialed their voices down a little bit. I'll be reiterating some of the things that they say, but just so that we can hear clearly at the launch.
15 seconds and counting.
It's going to get pretty loud here, so I pulled it down a little bit. Pulled the audio
10,
down.
9, 8, 7,
6, 5, 4. You can see the engines are already starting up here, shaking the camera. And there goes the big plume. And we are off. And there she goes. So you can see all that ice and cold air, all these pieces of ice coming down.
Lurking beneath the icy crust of Jupiter's moon.
Don't tell anybody, but I'm crying a little bit.
Engine chamber pressures are nominal.
All right, so there we go. She is taking off. She's flying good. We have our, down at the bottom, it tells you all those steps that we just talked about. It's going to kind of rotate and start forming to the right there. And everything looks like it's going according to plan.
Coming up, they're going to back off those engines just a bit.
Ready to head into max
power and telemetry nominal.
We hear that power and telemetry on the vehicle are good there. Everything's looking really
Falcon
well.
Heavy is supersonic.
All right, so you just heard that they went supersonic.
They have reduced power in the center core to get through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure on the launch vehicle as we approach that. The two side boosters at full throttle.
A beautiful shot there as our camera team.
Max Q.
Walking into the rocket on a clear blue sky. The view from the booster cam, back down on Earth.
And there we heard the call for max Q. The vehicle is passing through maximum dynamic pressure. Next thing up in about 2 minutes will be booster engine cutoff, where we see the two side booster engines, all 18, shut down and get ready for booster separation. But the vehicle is performing very well. Looking at all the telemetry that we have, power and trajectory are nominal.
We've been flying for just under 2 minutes so far. Everything looking good. These side boosters, once they do their job, they will be expended. If you're familiar with the Falcon Heavy, you know that they bring the boosters back on certain launches, but not on this one, because all of the performance is needed to push Europa Clipper
looks like we were having
into
some
its
trouble with
proper
the
orbit.
audio for a second there, but we should be back on good. Now we're waiting for the separation.
Things continue to look good as the vehicle heads down its ascent phase here.
Blast these boosters off and send them back to Earth.
All telemetry is looking very nominal for this flight this morning. Falcon Heavy is performing very well.
So still have some visual from the ground. The other visuals are coming off of cameras actually mounted to the rocket itself.
Now we're just about 30 seconds away from separating those side boosters. Their engines will cut off
Past
first,
the max Q,
then
which
they
they
will
mentioned
separate.
earlier. You can see pretty far out there in
MVAC
the
is chilling.
atmosphere. You can see the Earth to
Starting
the right,
to chill
and
down
the
that
darkness of
MVAC D
space out
engine
to
in the
left.
second stage.
and that's where we need to get the engine chilled to the proper temperatures before flowing liquid oxygen and RP1 into it. So they're conditioning the engine to make sure things are ready for when it's ready to start up.
Stand by for booster separation.
All right, here comes the booster separation.
Booster engine cutoff. Side booster
So
separation
those engines
confirmed.
cut off, and there they go.
And there they go.
Those two boosters previously flown on Psyche. This will be their 6th flight. We thank you for their service this morning. They did a great job of getting Falcon Heavy and Europa Clipper on its way as the center core takes over and continues mission down its ascent. Things are looking really good in the telemetry. Power and trajectory look nominal, and chamber pressures on the 9 center core engines look really good.
In just a little more 20 seconds from now, we'll get the cutoff of the main engine on the center core booster that remains.
All right, so that's going to be the majority of the launch.
4 seconds after that,
For us
we
there,
will
we got
separate.
a couple more things going on here. Just some of these
Flying out over the Atlantic
separations,
Ocean.
The pieces dropping off. So here we go right here.
There's a look from inside.
There we see stage 1
Stage
shutdown
separation confirmed.
and stage separation
There
from the
goes
center core. Getting ready for MVAC startup,
Stage 2, and then this
SES-1.
booster is going to turn on. There it goes.
Getting some applause here in the Mission Directors Center, and there you
And
see
if you
the
watch the
MVAC-D
shell
engine
of this
lighting
rocket,
up.
you can see it getting super bright.
Next
Wow,
thing up in
it
about
is
10 seconds will be fairing.
pretty
NYPY
up there.
FTS has saved.
And the fairing has protected Europa Clipper on its
There's the
ascent
Europa
up
Clipper
into space. But
inside.
once we get into space, we don't need that fairing anymore.
Fairing
there it
separation
goes.
confirmed.
So that's the protective
Fairing
shield that
is
was around
separated,
it,
and
now
those
that we're
will
in
be
space,
recovered,
there's
Daryl,
nothing
by
that they need to
SpaceX's
worry about.
own
There's no
recovery
wind
ship,
up
Go
there.
Cosmos.
And there you see them falling away into space. That is the only part of this rocket that will be recovered.
The glow of the MVAC-D engine as it performs its first burn here. This is about a 3-minute and 47-second burn. Things are looking great. Matter of fact, this is one of the shortest first burns that has been done on a Falcon Heavy by SpaceX, but it is required to get us into that parking orbit for that long coast that we have to get ready for the interplanetary trajectory that we're going to need to get Europa Clipper on its way that we
All
heard
right,
Jenny
so that's going to
talk
be
about
just
get
about the
those
last
Earth
of the
assist,
events that we
slingshots
are
as
going to
it,
be going
heads
through.
on its way for its mission.
Now it's
But
going to
things
make a couple
looking
of
really good
orbits
this
of
morning
Earth.
with the
They'll run
performance
some
of
of the
the Falcon
system
Heavy.
checks and things
The
like
MVAC
that,
is
and then it will
performing
begin
well,
its actual
and everything
burns
looks good
headed out
thus far
for
in
that
the
first
today's mission.
gravitational assist around
Usually
Mars.
those burns
And then it
are
will be
the other way
returning to
around,
Earth
the
2
longer
years
first
from now
burn and the shorter
for a
second
gravity
burn, but in
assist
this
around
case,
Earth, and
it
then
is
another
reversed
5 years until
as
it
we look
actually
at some
reaches
crystal
the
clear views
Jupiter
of the
insertion when it'll
MVAC-D
actually start
engine,
taking that
stage
information.
2
I can
that's
hear that
carrying
guy.
Europa Clipper
It'll make that insertion into the orbit around
Orbital
Jupiter and actually
light
start collecting
is
the data
shining both
that
on
we're looking
the
for.
spacecraft,
So those
the
of you
second
who are in
stage,
5th grade right
and
now,
on
you will be
planet Earth.
sophomores,
Center core
juniors,
FTS has saved.
sophomores? Sophomores in a high school
There
when
we've
we
heard
actually
that
start
the flight
collecting
termination system
data
on
on
the center
this.
core has been
I
safe
want to
as it
thank
heads back.
everybody for joining us. If you want to check out this live stream, you could just head over to YouTube and watch the NASA live stream. They'll keep it live probably for the next hour, maybe the next couple of hours, and then they'll cut that stream as well. Lots of more information, but I got to get back to my training. Glad everybody could join us today. Let's see, we had a total, I can't even look at it right now. I'm just going to scrub the live stream. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time for our next live stream here on Nestler Labs.